People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in. Now, Arsenal have a long way away, better yet, from us saying that we're happy, or Arsenal fans are happy with their squad. We're happy with individuals, we're happy with squad players. We're not 100% convinced with our squad. We've got, Saka, for me, one of the flag bearers, takes his chances. You've got Aubameyang, Martinelli when fit as well. Tierney's done his thing. Partey takes it up to another level. There's good players. But specific to the young players, specific to Joe Willock, to a degree, Saliba, let's make sure you remember I've said that. I'd say Saliba, Joe Willock, Emile Smith-Rowe and Reiss Nelson. You're all at pivotal times in your development. Saliba, less to these lot. I'd say for the English-based ones, there's more of an urgency. You don't need to be the finished article. You just need to show more development. And I think Emile and Nelson in particular, and Joe, they have developed. They look more confident and whatnot. But there's still a long way to go. And, January's only 2.5 months away. For now, they're probably only going to play cup competitions. But I'm sure that's not what you want the season to be like. At the end of the day, it's down to these players to remain patient, because none of them have got, well, they haven't been given a chance, but none of them have shown they deserve to be in the starting lineup. So until they do what Saka and Martinelli have done, you can't just be handed it to them. And I'm sure none of them want to face that prospect, because they're all at the age now where you don't need to be the finished article, but you do need to start showing some inroads into that, and showing that you're growing into that, or just developing. I don't think listen, for me, if I'm one of these players in my 20s, there's full of setbacks, there's injuries, you're trying to gain consistency. I'm not asking for finished products, but I want to look back at the end of the season and say I'm a dramatically better player. That's only going to come with playing. You need to take your chances and give Arteta some confidence that you can be consistent. They need to develop consistency. It's great turning it on 1 week and being poor the next week. You're not going to play. You need to be at it. We're playing 3 times in a row. People will get their opportunities. They will get it, They will get it. Arteta has said that. It could take you 3 days. It could take you 3 months. Be ready. And they should be. And for me, they should all be vexed. Now, Emile's had injuries. I don't know when fit, if he'll actually be in the matchday squad. But Nelson hasn't been in any of the Premier League ones. I know he was injured in the last one, but he hasn't been involved. Joe's been out of it on a couple of occasions. And he's actually not been called up for the second time now for England under-21 duty. I believe in all of them, Emile and Nelson in particular. But then I look at it, I look at Saka taking his chance. Saka and Martinelli, Joe and Nelson were the young players, the ones to get opportunities to start of last season. They've been lapped. Martinelli was nowhere really near the first team. He was coming off the bench. Saka was around and whatnot, but they've taken their chances and they've lapped you. Beyond that, I think people don't give Eddie Nketiah his credit. He might not be the greatest striker, he might not have the biggest potential. Only time will tell if he can improve his link-up play and score goals. But when you look past Saka and Martinelli, he's taking his chance. I ain't seen Joe keep Pepe out the team like Saka. I ain't seen these players keep people out the team like Eddie did for Lacazette. Obviously a bit of poor form from Lacazette played a part. But Eddie's gone from being one of these young players to being a sort of rotation option slash just gained a better importance in the side. You lot are firmly squad players, and like I said, some men are just going to be squad players. Not everyone's going to go off and be a household name of sorts. Some of these players are going to have to be sold and fall by the wayside. Injuries are a part of it. Setbacks are normal, but you need to start showing inroads. You need to start showing you make more decisive things happen, and you're more calculated. For Emile, make more. Emile can play. He can technically, he's up there. Tactically, centre mid, creative mid, on the flanks, he can do it. But there needs to be playing with greater consistency. You look at his last appearance off the top of my head against Everton. He was better in the second half and anonymous in the first. You need to be at it from the start. Nelson the same. Because you look at some of these, you're all approaching important ages now, people. It's like, again, like I said, you don't need to be the finished article. It's not the end of the world if at 21 you're not the finished article. But as much as I love Reiss Nelson, he's 21 in December. You've got to be showing some real development now, showing that you're kicking on a bit. He's made 40 odd appearances for this club now. Not all 90 minutes, of course, but significant. Emile, seize your chances. Apparently Southampton wanted him on loan, which could have been good. He's staying here. He's had a tough time with injuries. I'm pretty sure he's our youngest goal scorer in the Carabao Cup since Oxlade-Chamberlain, and he's played quite well when given opportunities in cup competitions. But in the Prem, you didn't seize your chances. Seize it. Emile's played quite a few times. You look at Joe Willock. Joe Willock's played 64 times for this club. Personally, I feel out of Joe, Nelson and Emile, I think Joe needs the most, needs a loan spell the most, because I feel out of all of them, he's shown the least. Now, with all due respect to Joe, I think he's had bits of form. Last season, he earned his spot in the Premier League. But I just don't think he plays with greater consistency. I don't know what midfield specific role he does. You know, in the 10 role, his decision making isn't there. His off the ball movement isn't there. Defensively, he actually needs to improve. Yes, he's got an engine and he's committed, but sometimes he lets runners go. Joe's got techers, but the things I praise Joe, and he deserves to praise, but on the other hand, it don't really make sense. Like, I shouldn't be praising a central midfielder for being dynamic, for putting themselves around, for having an engine. Isn't that the basic principle of being a midfielder? If I'm looking at it harshly, he's got a contract till 2023, as I imagine Emile and Nelson probably have similar contractual ranges. You know, he needs to start showing something, because, you know, if we listen to what previously Raul Sanya, who's now departed the club, said, you know, we're trying to sort things out in the next 2 years of players' contracts. You know, it's 2021 next year, and then, you know, Joe will probably get a new deal, but is it worth it? If you don't develop, you'll find yourself being 22, 23, and you'll leave, and the bubble will burst. You know, and Joe needs to ask himself, is playing here the best for him? Because he hasn't gone on loan he hasn't gone on a top loan anywhere. The Championship is still there. I think that could be a good base for him. But equally, I get it if he wants to stay. I can see why Arteta would want to keep him. He has got strengths. He is good for the squad. But at the same time, if everybody's fit, is Joe Willock on the bench, let alone playing in central midfield? It's a myth. I'm playing Ceballos before you. You know, I'm playing Tobias, who's that? I'm playing Thomas Partey before you. I'm playing Xhaka before you. I'm playing El Nene before you. Ironically, I'm playing Saka in that 10 role that Joe plays before Joe. And that's not a criticism. This is the realness, you know. As good as they are as young players, you know, do you want to be a part of this or not? And no, none of these three, they've all got talent. They can all be squad members and stuff, but they ain't done what Maitland, to a degree, what Eddie has done, what Saka's done, is that you've gone from Haaland and somewhat replicated the form. Because I can't, as much as I love Joe, there aren't too many games I can tell you he's playing the blinder. I can tell you he's looked alright twice against Liverpool. I can't really tell you anything else off the top of my head. I can tell you Nelson looked good against Liverpool and Chelsea, and he looked good at in the Europa League spots he got under Wenger. Do you get? Emile has bagged in a couple of cup competitions, and so is Joe against Blackpool and whatnot. But it's about kicking on now. It's about it. Can you be a real part of this side? It's up to them, and only time will tell. And at least for now, they've got 2.5 months to display that they're able to do this. Because, like I said, they'll be probably playing the Europa League. There will be rotation. Obviously, Saliba, there's still talk of going to Brentford and whatnot, and he's a bit different. That we spent 30 odd mil. But again, if chances come, he needs to seize it. You're hearing Tierney might not play due to, you know, COVID quarantine measures and whatnot against City. Say Saliba gets thrown in against Man City, which I don't think is going to happen, but let's just say he gets thrown in. You take your chance. All this talk of going out on loan doesn't matter. These young players need to be patient, need to keep training, but when it comes, seize your opportunity. And you know, Arteta has said he wants to work with Emile. I believe in Emile. You know, he said he likes Nelson. I believe in Nelson. But you need to take your game to the next level. Like I said, this doesn't mean becoming Jadon Sancho or Phil Foden overnight. I would love them to. It just means a bit more consistency, doing things a bit quicker. Your positioning looks a bit quicker. You're showing, you know, if you're thrown in for 2 games in a week, there's not a 7 out of 10 and then a 2 out of 10. You know, there's a base level. And it's down to these lads. They've all got it, but at the same time, you've got to show it. It's like Callum Hudson-Odoi at Chelsea. You've got to show it. For as much as we can talk about, you need opportunities and they're developing. You've got to You've got to show your manager reasons to want to give you that leeway and say, all right, cool, I'm going to throw him in for 10 games. I know he's a young man. Some games he's not going to excel. Some games he is. They've got to take it to the next level. And I love all these players. You lot know me. I don't think there's a YouTuber who loves youth talent more than me. Specific to my club, Haaland. There's nothing that fills me with more pride than seeing players come through. I want Joe to develop here. I want Emile and Nelson to follow what Saka's doing. I want Aziz and Balogun if he stays, and Tyrese John Jules and all of these sort of players. I want them to come through. You know, under 18s, I want Mauro Bendera, I want Charlie Patino, I want Marcelo Flores, I want Mon Luis, you know. All of these players, I want them all to progress to the first team. I want them all to do it. But it's not feasible. And to give themselves half a chance, talent can only get you so far. You've got to show tactically your manager can trust you. You've got to show consistency. You've got to affect the game. Emile's a cultured player. But are you affecting the game? You learnt to do it a bit at Huddersfield. Are you affecting it? Nelson, are you effectively affecting the game from right wing? Joe Willock, what are you bringing to the table in midfield? Because you've now got the toughest fight. Like I said, we've got to be thinking about whether Joe should get a new contract. He's 21 or so. He's lost his place in the England team. I don't know how much domestic football you're going to play in terms of league football, because when everybody's fit, unless there's rotation or injuries, you're not. But this is why you're here, you know. You've got to show you can fight. If you want to play for Arsenal or any top club like this, you've got to show you can fight and show there's a reason to keep you around fighting for, you know. You've got to prove it. You know, and your time is going to come. I do believe every member of this Arsenal team is going to get an opportunity, and their time will come. Whether that's in the Europa League, whether that's a random start in the league, whether that's a big game, everyone's going to have a point to prove. And if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I expect some of these young players to be sold in a couple of years and fall by the wayside. That's the business, you know. If some of these players can be sold for top dollar, 20 million or so, that's great. If some of them progress to be first team regulars, rotation options, squad players, that's great as well. It helps us with the homegrown law, which you see is kind of giving us the problems now. It gives us, the fans, something to identify with. It helps us plug areas. How much money has Bukayo Saka saved us? You know, whether he's going to be a left back, a right winger, a left winger. Some people like him in the 10, whether he's going to be a 10 long term. You know, how much money has he saved us? It's that real. How much money has he saved us? And nobody loves to see that more than me, but they've got to develop. I've seen players fall by the wayside, and I will see it again. And I don't want it to be these players, because I love Reiss Nelson in particular. I've got a lot of time for Emile Smith-Rowe, and I want Joe to bust here. So I know we focused on these 3 players, but they've played enough times to know what they need to do better. So we need to see kicking on. For Saliba, I just hope we make the best choice in relation to his development. But I've been there for a minute, so let me keep it moving. People, it's always a pleasure. DG.